Everyone has their different ways of coping with a wipeout, and no matter what happens, it's inevitable that you are going to have a beating. For me, when I'm under the water, I like to pray and I like to count. This helps me have peace of mind. The last thing you want to do is panic, and you want to do everything that you can to remain calm. And for me, counting, again, I take it back to my training. I know that I've got 15 to 20 seconds with my heart absolutely racing. I can comfortably do that every time. And then, so while I'm underwater, I might be getting ripped apart, I might be upside down doing somersaults, but I'm counting my head. I'm like, I'm only on 4 seconds, I've still got another 11 seconds left. This is actually not that bad. So counting for me is a very big thing, and I challenge you, if you're surfing 5 to 6 foot waves, count and see how long you actually are under the water for, and I'm sure it'll probably only be 5 to 6 seconds. Your priority when you fall off is to get that last breath. So whether you're skimming on your back or whether you're falling face first, you want to make sure that if you can, to get that last breath before you go down. If you're going head first, you always want to be covering your head. And I always like to try and fall away from my board, because whether you're surfing on a 6 foot board or a 9 foot board, you really want to stay away from the fins and the rails of the board. And because if that thing hits you under the water, you definitely got to know about it. So try and fall away from your board. I find body posture under the water is very important. If you fall off near a falling lip and you know there's going to be a big impact, I like to pull my limbs in and make myself really strong. I might even clench my jaw so that my lips can't get blown open and water can go in. So I'll clench my jaw and I'll make myself strong. So this stops your limbs getting ripped around and your heart rate going up. And then once the beating starts to mellow out a bit, maybe you're getting dragged down a little bit, or maybe the wave is keeping in it, you can open up like a sail. And I really find that this helps to, without much effort, to come to the surface. You don't get pushed too deep and you don't get washed with the wave too much. So for many people, getting caught inside a multiple wave set is their greatest fear, and it's certainly mine. So basically, if you find yourself suddenly getting caught inside a 6 foot wave or an 8 foot wave, there's most likely going to be lots of waves behind it. So while you're underwater, you want to be trying to tell yourself positive thoughts and keep your heart rate down. When you come up, your heart might be racing and you'll have an urgency to breathe quickly. But the best way to slow your adrenaline is to take long, deep breaths. Breathe into it. When you come up from the wipeout, if you have the opportunity to have 6 quick breaths before the next wave or 3 quality breaths, always choose quality breathing. Long, deep breaths in and out. And then before you go under the next wave, you want to breathe out all your oxygen, get rid of all the stale air, and take a long, deep breath in. That, I can't emphasize the importance of that. A lot of people, when they see the wave, they've been breathing and they just go, but little do they know that they've actually got half a tank of stale air in their lungs. So you want to breathe all of that out and a big deep breath in, and then you go into your happy place, you go into your counting or however you deal with the beating. And again, it goes to your training. When you're doing that when you're in the pool and you're getting your heart rate up, holding your breath, you're coming up and you maybe have 4 breaths in between, you're doing the long, deep breaths. That's mimicking the big wave environment. Okay, another way to really handle a wipeout well, and a huge importance, is to have positive thinking when you're under the water. What happens in your mind actually has physiological responses to your body. When you have positive thoughts under the water, it's actually going to feed into physiological responses in your body. Your heart rate is going to drop, your adrenaline is going to lower. So when you tell yourself things like, I've got this, I've got plenty more air, I'm doing well, all these things that you produce in your mind actually produce great responses in your body that help you to have oxygen for longer and help you to relax. The worst thing you can do is be under the water and be like, I'm going to drown, I shouldn't be here, I'm running out of air, I need to get to the surface. This will spark panic, and your heart rate will elevate, your adrenaline will elevate, and this is the last thing you want. So positive thinking is a huge part of remaining calm underwater. Your body is amazing and you're built to survive. If you remain calm, you will be fine. So talking about wipeouts, I've surfed some of the biggest waves at around the world. Some of the highlights have been at Jaws and Mavericks and Puerto Escondido in Mexico, but the worst experience I ever had was out at NAZARE. And probably one of the reasons to this was I felt unprepared. I was going over to Portugal for a movie premiere, and as I was arriving, my friend said, hey, there might be a NAZARE swell tomorrow. And I just thought suddenly, oh my gosh, like I haven't prepared myself mentally. But anyway, I got out there, we took the jet skis out, and NAZARE is one of the craziest waves in the world. So deep out in the ocean, there are these underwater canyons, and they actually focus the energy of the waves into these huge peaks, and they produce the tallest waves in the world. This particular day wasn't 100-foot waves, but the waves were probably 50 foot, so it was still very, very big. And we were trying to paddle it. And the thing about NAZARE, there's no safe zone and there's no channel. So the waves are pretty random where they're coming in, all along the beach. And there's also very intense currents of water rushing out in little gullies all over the place. I was having a pretty good session out the back, catching lots of good rides, and I was maybe sitting a little bit too close in, and suddenly I heard the people sitting further out whistling. The guys in the jet skis were whistling, and there was a really big set approaching. And I remember paddling, and at the same time while I was paddling, I was trying to take deep breaths to conserve my oxygen. I paddled over the wave, and I was met with a giant wall of water, and I just thought, okay, here we go. Things are about to get super heavy, go into survival mode. So I remember taking my long, deep breathe ups and feeling good. I got a really good breath. I left my board next to me and swam under the water. The wave was very, very violent, pushed me super deep. And while I wasn't coming up, so I pulled my vest. I actually pulled both tags at the same time. And I came up to the surface pretty shortly after, and there was another huge wall of white water coming towards me. And my board was floating there, and I was just getting ready to go under this wave. And then I looked to my right, and there was this guy darting in on a jet ski to come and rescue me. And I just thought, there's no time for this guy to pick me up before the next one hits. And sure enough, he was racing in, he put his hand out and flung me onto the sled. And I remember just holding on with this 30-foot foamy biting at my ankles. And then I started feeling my board starting to dig into the water. And I just thought, no, please don't, please don't. It ripped me off, and I didn't get a breath, straight into the foamy. I had another tremendous beating. I came up, my leash had snapped, and there was another really big one coming my way. I was trying to do my breathe ups, and next thing I see, there's another guy coming in on a jet ski to rescue me. He flings me onto the back of the sled. I'm holding on, and the foamy just takes us out. The foamy goes over me and over the whole jet ski. And he later told me he was in full whiteout, just holding the accelerator, trying to get out of there. And I was holding on the back, just getting ripped up and down by this huge foamy. And the foamy ripped me off again with no breath again, and I got absolutely beaten. I came up very disorientated, and there was a fourth wave, like a 15-foot double-up foam monster that just absolutely beat me and washed me up the beach. And I remember getting up onto the beach, kind of like crawling up the beach, and the horizon was moving like this, and it felt like my brain had just been totally shook inside my skull. It was definitely the heaviest experience of my life, and I really felt like if I didn't have that pool vest, I would have been in serious trouble.